Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Thursday, June the 13th, the year 2019. Let's talk trading. What's in your trading plan? I've been looking at other videos or watching other videos and seeing what other people have been talking about trading plans. And I think they're missing something. I already talked about one of the things, which is they don't really look at what happens after you exit the trade, because a lot of times that will help you get a clear perspective on whether or not what you're doing is the thing you really should be doing. I use the example that, you're up, say, 7 pips, you move your stop loss to break even +1, price comes down, takes you off, and then, goes off another 50 pips. So you feel like you left all these pips on the table because you moved your stop. So then the next time you don't move your stop, price comes down, stops you out for, say, -10. You're going to remember that missing those 50, but that -10, you're probably not going to think about that. But, what if over 10 trades that you moved your stop, 2 of them went to, say, +20, but you got stopped out for -10 8 times? I mean, is your trading plan working then? No. So, like I said, that's one thing that's missing. I think the other thing that's missing is a lot of times people, especially in the stock market, focus more on selection. And selection is part of trading. But to me, I like to separate the two. You select what instrument you're going to trade, which particular instrument, based on the tools that you want to use, the method. So, for example, in the stock market, I chose the buy zone, and I started off trading foreign exchange like that too. And I still do use buy zone. But then I came up with the rat zone. Rat zone, not so much in stocks. You can use it, but it's not as, I guess, statistically, it doesn't seem to work as well in stocks as it does in the foreign exchange. Wick zone, I've never traded wick zone in stocks, because by the time I came up with the wick zone, I'd already pretty much moved away from the stock market. Wick zone works pretty well in Forex, but then, so if you pick a method, then you analyze and see which instrument works best with that method. And see, that's where people in stock market, they have, one method and they think it works for all stocks. No, some stocks move more than others. Some stocks have bigger spreads, and, so on and so on and so on. So to me, there's analysis to do. If you're going to pick a tool, then you see what instruments work best with that tool. And that's why, sometimes you've seen I've made a couple of changes in what instruments I show, but I usually wind up coming back to euro yen, just because it seems to work best. And once again, in the trading plan, the 3-legged stool, the way I like to look at it is, you have your risk and money management, you have your method, and once again, execution and performance. If one of these legs is shorter than the others, your stool's going to fall over. And Once again, repetition. You keep doing the same thing over and over. You keep trading the same pair over and over, or the same stock over and over, or the same commodity over and over. That repetition should give you confidence and competence based on, your success. It should be an upward spiral. And of course, each and every trade, money and risk management, part of the trading plan, right? So let's take a gander here. Let's see, it's Thursday. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 that haven't filled the gap. So once again, on a method, you can pick and see which pairs you like to trade that open gap. On the from Friday close to Monday open. And you can see right here, we dropped out of that weekly wick zone right here. You see we filled that gap. On the buy zone, we got another missed pivot today. We're below the weekly open, so we had a long bias based on pivot, short bias based on weekly open. We got our trigger, profit to be made, trigger, little profit, trigger, profit. You can see today is so far anemic, only a 39 pip range. No pairs over 100 pips in range. That is just anemic. But you can see we broke out of the previous day's low. Right now, good for 14 pips. Overall potential 25, not a bad trade. And you can see here, looking at the Einstein line, there was one little trigger to the long side. Not much going on still, just riding that out. And you can see here where we are in the range. Current range 39. There should be more gas in the tank, considering we like to see we average 70, but you can see here the average is 70, but the meat is somewhere here between 50 and 70. That gives you over 50%, kind of where the bell-shaped curve is, right? Here we're looking at the highs and lows, or actually the wick zone of the previous candle here. You can see this is on the H1. You can see entered the upper wick zone and came back out. So wick zones even work down in the lower time frames for triggers. One of my favorite breakout candles, a 1400 candle. I had a trader ask about this, so let me show you this setup once again. We're using TROHL5 indicator here, and just going through. You see we've got the high and the low set to true. And then if you scroll down, start time HH 14, start time for the minutes, it's just a 0. And we're not showing the day lines, all lines background. Then we come here, my period 1 hour, my bars 1, my shift 1. Okay, and that's how that works. So you set the timelines to true, you tell it when you want it to start, and then it will plot those lines. And so you see here, we had a breakout of that 1400 candle, and right now it's good for about 12 pips. Had a potential of about 8. Let's see. Yeah, had a potential of about 18. And just one thing to note, if you say you shift the chart to a different time frame, it'll still show you that high low here. And actually we had that set to H1 in the, we said we wanted the H1 bar, H1 chart period. So you can see here, even though we're on a daily chart, we're still showing the values for H1. Just in case you get confused if you change chart periods, why it looks funny. So I'm kind of curious, viewers, I'd like to know what's in your trading plan. I know some of you have been adopting the wick zone, and some of you are trading the whole lows out there, highest open, lowest open. But I am kind of curious as to what's in your trading plan. I mean, is it written down? Maybe you use the My Notes indicator like I do to put the trading plan right on your screen. And you guys have seen this before, the My Notes indicator. You can put whatever you want. You get 10 note lines. You can have different colors on each note line. Real simple indicator. Some people say it's my best indicator because it's one of those things where, you know, it's such a simple tool. You can use it for many different things and you can put it right on your screen. So it does come in handy. I've seen some people use it and they post charts with it. But, you know, if you post charts using my indicators, you just might get accused of being, you know, me, TRO, TheRumpledOne, and they might ban you from the forums. I find that it's just so amusing how that stuff's still going on. But I guess maybe trading forums are a form of social media, and we know what that's all like these days. So anyway, I'd like to find out what's in your trading plan, and let me know if these trading plan tips have helped you or not. I was thinking I might be doing this for the rest of the month, but there's so much out there on trading plans. Unless you have a specific question, I think I might start talking about other things. Don't want to, you know, beat a dead horse, because no matter what your plan is, you got to go out and execute it, as I mentioned, you know, in an earlier screen. And through repetition, you'll find out if it's successful or not. But you just have to have what Robert Ringer calls an honest evaluation of self. You know, it's so easy to blame the market or blame the broker, you know, or blame something outside of you, something that's outside of your control. But, you know, the things that are in your control, when you enter, when you exit, what you trade, when you trade it, you know, how you trade it, you know, the size you trade, the risk you allow, your money management, it all goes into whether or not you're profitable. Because, you know, in the end, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and continue draining the banks. Oh, and if you're wondering why there wasn't a video yesterday, it's because I was completing another lap around the sun. In other words, it was my birthday. So that's why I wasn't making a video yesterday.